Children who were disowned by their parents? What made you pick up when they tried getting in touch years later? I was 17 when my dad found the acceptance letter from Berkeley hidden in my desk. He'd been searching for my diary, hoping to confirm his suspicions about why I spent so much time at my friend Chloe's house. Instead, he found proof I'd applied to college without telling them, engineering no less. In my family, women didn't go to college. We got married, had babies, and supported our husbands' dreams. My mom had been a promising violinist before she married Dad at 19. Her violin gathered dust in the attic, untouched for 23 years. Dad called a family meeting that night. My two younger brothers sat silent as he laid out the ultimatum. Cancel Berkeley and marry Trevor from church, or leave and never come back. Trevor was 31, owned a successful plumbing business, and had already asked permission to court me. I was expected to feel honored. You have until tomorrow morning to decide, Dad said. Choose wisely. My mom wouldn't look at me during dinner. After everyone went to bed, she slipped an envelope under my door. Inside was $800 in 20s and a note. I'm sorry I can't be braver. Don't make my mistakes. I left before sunrise with 2 suitcases and my mom's money. Took a bus to my aunt's place 4 hours away. She'd been excommunicated years earlier for divorcing her husband. She understood what it meant to choose yourself. For 6 years, I heard nothing. I worked full-time while finishing my degree, graduated with honors, got hired at a robotics firm in San Francisco, built a life that was entirely mine. My aunt became the family I needed. We spent holidays together, and she never once made me feel like I owed her anything. Then last month, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello, it's Dad. His voice cracked on the word. Your mom's sick. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She's asking for you. I felt nothing at first. Just a strange emptiness where emotion should have been. Why now? I asked. She doesn't have much time, he said quietly. A few weeks, maybe less. She wants to see you before. He couldn't finish. Neither could I. I hung up and stared at my phone for 20 minutes. Then I booked a flight home. Not for him. For the woman who'd slipped me that envelope. For the mother who'd saved in secret so I could escape the cage she'd lived in her whole life. When I walked into their house 3 days later, Dad looked 10 years older. Gray hair, hollow eyes, shoulders hunched like he'd been carrying something too heavy for too long. He led me upstairs without speaking. Mom was in their bedroom, surrounded by machines and medical equipment. She'd lost so much weight I barely recognized her. But when she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. You came, she whispered. I wasn't sure you would. I sat beside her bed and took her hand. It felt impossibly fragile. I'm here. We talked for hours. She asked about my job, my apartment, my life. I showed her photos on my phone. She smiled at each one, drinking in the evidence that I'd survived, that I'd built something real. As the sun started setting, she squeezed my hand with surprising strength. I need to tell you something, she said. Something I should have told you 6 years ago. What is it? She glanced at the closed door, then back at me. Her expression shifted to something I'd never seen before. Fear mixed with determination. Your father, she began, then stopped, took a breath, started again. Trevor didn't just want to marry you. Your father sold you to him. There was a contract. Trevor paid $50,000 for exclusive rights to. The bedroom door swung open. Dad stood there, his face unreadable. That's enough, he said quietly. She doesn't need to know about that. Mom's grip on my hand tightened. She deserves to know everything. She deserves to know what you did to. I said enough. His voice wasn't loud, but it filled the room like thunder. I looked between them, my mind racing. What else did you do? Mom opened her mouth to answer. That's when I noticed the pill bottle on her nightstand, the one that shouldn't have been there, the one that wasn't part of her prescribed medication. I picked it up with my free hand, read the label, diphenhydramine, high dose, not prescribed to anyone in this house. Mom, I said slowly, what is this? Dad moved toward the nightstand. That's mine, for allergies. You're not allergic to anything. I stood up, still holding the bottle. I lived here for 17 years. You never took allergy medication. Mom's breathing became rapid, shallow. She was staring at my father with an expression I couldn't decipher. Terror, maybe something else. Tell her, Mom whispered. There's nothing to tell. Dad's voice was too calm, too controlled. I looked at the bottle again, then at the morphine pump beside Mom's bed, the oxygen monitor, the IV drip, all the equipment that was supposed to be keeping her alive. How long has she been taking this? I asked. Silence. Dad, how long? 2 weeks, Mom answered instead. Her voice was barely audible. He puts it in my water 3 times a day. Says it helps me sleep. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of the bed to steady myself. That's ridiculous, Dad said. She's confused. The pain medication makes her hallucinate. I'm not confused. Mom's grip on my hand was painful now. The hospice nurse asked why I was so drowsy. She checked the medications. Found this bottle hidden in the bathroom cabinet. She told me what it does when you mix it with morphine. I stared at my father. At this man I'd spent 17 years believing was just strict. Just traditional. Just following the rules of our community. You're killing her, I said. Don't be dramatic. I'm helping her rest. The doctor said she's in pain. The doctor didn't prescribe this. I held up the bottle. And you've been giving her triple the safe dose, while she's already on morphine and Ativan. Do you know what that does to someone's respiratory system? He said nothing. You're speeding it up. I continued. My voice sounded strained, distant. You're making sure she dies faster. She's dying anyway, he snapped. This is mercy. Mercy? Mom's laugh was bitter, broken. You want me dead before I can tell her everything. Dad crossed the room in 3 steps, reached for the pill bottle. I pulled back, holding it against my chest. Give it to me, he said. No. We stood there, locked in some terrible standoff. Then Mom started coughing, deep, rattling coughs that shook her whole body. I moved back to her side, helping her sit up slightly. When the coughing stopped, there was blood on her lips. Dad left the room. I heard his footsteps on the stairs, heavy, deliberate. You need to leave, Mom whispered when we were alone. Tonight. Before I'm not leaving you with him. I'm already dying, but you're not. And if he realizes you know everything, he'll... Another coughing fit. More blood. I grabbed my phone, started to dial 911. Don't, Mom said. Please, just listen. I don't have much time and I need you to understand what happened. Why I never protected you. Why I let him. Her voice broke. Why I was such a coward. I put the phone down but kept it in my hand. Tell me. Trevor wasn't the first, she began. Your father has been doing this for years. Since before you were born. Our church, it's not really a church. It's a network. Men who buy and sell daughters like livestock. They call it preserving traditional values, but it's human trafficking dressed up in prayer meetings and Bible study. My stomach turned. How many girls? I don't know. Dozens. Maybe more. They come from families like ours. Fathers who need money or business connections. Daughters who have no choice. The contracts are legal enough if you know the right lawyers. Arranged marriages with dowries paid up front. The girls sign when they turn 18. If they refuse, their families disown them. Cut them off completely. And if they run? Mom's eyes filled with tears. Most don't run. They don't know they can. They've been raised to believe this is God's plan. That disobedience means eternal damnation. The few who do run, she stopped. Looked away. What happens to them? They find them, usually. Bring them back. Sometimes the girls go willingly. Sometimes they don't. There was a girl 3 years ago, Melissa. She tried to leave. Her father sent men after her. They found her in a motel in Nevada. Mom's voice cracked. She didn't survive the trip back. Her father told everyone she died in a car accident. The room felt too small, too hot. I couldn't breathe. Trevor paid $50,000 for you, Mom continued. But the contract had clauses, performance guarantees. If you ran before the wedding, your father had to return the money, plus 20% interest. He couldn't afford that, couldn't risk it. So he gave you the ultimatum, hoping you'd be too scared to leave. When you ran anyway, he told Trevor you'd be back, that he'd find you and deliver you by your 18th birthday. But he never came for me. He tried. Twice. The first time, your aunt threatened to go to the police. The second time, Trevor had already found someone else. A 16-year-old from a family in Oregon. Your father lost the deposit, $10,000. He's been in debt to Trevor ever since. I thought about my aunt. How she'd never questioned when I showed up at her door. How she'd immediately started teaching me about bank accounts and legal documents and how to disappear if I needed to. She'd known what my father was. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. Why didn't you warn me before I ran? Mom closed her eyes. Because I was terrified. Your father, he controls everything. The money, the house, the car. He has connections everywhere. Police, judges, lawyers. If I'd helped you directly, if he'd known I was planning anything, he would have. She touched her throat. An unconscious gesture. He's hurt me before. When I questioned him, when I pushed back on anything, I learned to stay quiet, to survive by being invisible. The $800 was all I could save. I skimmed it over 2 years. $5 here, $10 there. From grocery money from his wallet when he was drunk. I knew it wasn't enough, but I hoped it would give you a chance. A head start. Something. It did, I said quietly. It got me to Aunt Linda's. Linda. Mom smiled. Sad. Tired. She got out too. Did you know that? When she was 20, she was supposed to marry a man from our church. 48 years old. Owned a construction company. On their wedding day, she didn't show up. Just vanished. Your father was furious. Said she'd shamed the whole family. But I was proud of her. Terrified for her, but proud. She saved both of us. In different ways. Mom opened her eyes. When your father told me you'd run, I was relieved. Guilty and relieved. I cried for 3 days. Not because you were gone, but because you were free. Because you'd been braver than I ever was. I wanted to be angry with her. Wanted to scream about all the years of silence, of complicity. But looking at her now, dying in this room, trapped even at the end, I couldn't find the rage. Just an overwhelming sadness. The pills, I said. How long has he been doing this? Since the hospice nurse started asking questions. She noticed I was more alert when she came in the morning. Asked why I was so foggy by afternoon. Started checking my medication schedule. Your father got nervous. Said the nurse was too nosy, too involved. He wanted to move faster before she figured anything out. She knows. She suspects. But she can't prove anything. The pills aren't in the medication log. He's been crushing them up, putting them in my water, making sure I drink it. I didn't realize what was happening until last week. I started refusing the water, staying more alert. That's when I insisted on calling you. I knew he was running out of time to stop me. Footsteps on the stairs. Dad was coming back. You have to go, Mom said urgently. Take your brothers. Get them out. My brothers are adults now. They can make their own choices. They don't know. Your father has been grooming them, teaching them how the system works. Dylan is already engaged to a 17-year-old from our church. Marcus recruited her himself, told her family about the opportunities, the financial security. I felt sick. My baby brothers, the ones who'd sat silent at that family meeting 6 years ago, they'd become him. There's something else, Mom said. Something you need to know about Trevor, about why he wanted you specifically. Dad appeared in the doorway. He was carrying a glass of water. You should leave, he said to me. Your mother needs to rest. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house, my wife, my rules. He moved toward the bed. Take your pills, honey. You'll feel better. Mom pressed herself back against the pillows. No, don't be difficult. His voice was gentle, patient, the voice of a man who'd done this 100 times before. You know it helps with the pain. I don't want it. The doctor says you need to stay hydrated. He held out the glass. Just a few sips. I stepped between them. She said no. Move. Make me. We stood there, inches apart. I could smell his aftershave, the same brand he'd worn my entire life, Old Spice. It had always made me feel safe when I was little. Now it made my skin crawl. You always were stubborn, he said quietly, just like your aunt. Just like, he stopped, looked past me at Mom, just like her, when we first got married. What happened to Mom? I asked. What did you do to make her stop being stubborn? His expression hardened. I taught her what happens when you question authority, when you forget your place. It took time, but she learned. They always learn. Mom made a small sound, almost like a whimper. Get out of my house, Dad said. No, I'll call the police. Have you removed for trespassing? Go ahead. I'll tell them about the pills, about the contracts, about Melissa. His face went white, just for a second. Then the mask was back in place. You don't know what you're talking about. You've been gone 6 years. You come back and fill your head with your mother's delusions. She's dying. She's not in her right mind. Then you won't mind if I take her to the hospital. Get a toxicology screen. See what's actually in her system. She's on hospice. She's dying at home. That's her choice. Is it? I looked at Mom. Do you want to die here? No, she whispered. I want to go with you. I want to... Another coughing fit, worse than before. She was gasping, struggling to breathe. I grabbed my phone, dialed 911 this time. Dad lunged for it, knocked it out of my hand. The phone skittered across the floor under the bed. You're not calling anyone, he said. We grappled for a moment. He was stronger, but I was younger, faster. I shoved him back hard enough that he stumbled. Then I dropped to my knees, reaching under the bed for my phone. That's when Mom screamed. Not a loud scream, more like a gasp. A sharp intake of breath that ended in a gurgling sound. I pulled myself up. Mom was convulsing. Her eyes were rolled back, foam at the corners of her mouth. What did you do? I yelled at Dad. He stood frozen, staring. I felt for Mom's pulse. It was there, but fading, rapid, irregular. I tilted her head back, checked her airway, clear. But she wasn't breathing right. Shallow gasps that weren't bringing in enough oxygen. The monitor beside her bed started beeping. Her oxygen saturation was dropping. 89%, 85%, 82%. I found my phone, called 911, gave the address, told them my mother was in respiratory distress, possible overdose, needed immediate transport. Dad just stood there, watching. The ambulance arrived in 8 minutes. Paramedics rushed upstairs, started working on Mom, IVs, oxygen, questions I couldn't fully answer because I didn't know all her medications. They loaded her onto a stretcher. Are you family? One of them asked me. I'm her daughter. You can ride with us. I followed them down the stairs. Dad was behind me. At the door, he grabbed my arm. This is your fault, he said. You upset her, stressed her out. If she dies, it's on you. I pulled away, got in the ambulance, watched through the back windows as Dad stood in the doorway of that house. He got smaller and smaller until we turned the corner and he disappeared. At the hospital, they rushed Mom straight into the ER. I paced the waiting room for 2 hours before a doctor came out. Are you Catherine's daughter? Yes. She's stable for now. We've got her on oxygen and fluids. We ran a tox screen. He paused. There were elevated levels of diphenhydramine in her system. Combined with her prescribed medications, that's what caused the respiratory crisis. Do you know how she ingested it? My father's been giving it to her, without her knowledge. In her water. The doctor's expression shifted. I see. We'll need to document this. And I'll need to file a report with Adult Protective Services. Do it. He nodded. She's asking for you. Room 7. Mom looked tiny in the hospital bed. Tubes and wires everywhere. But her eyes were clear. Clearer than they'd been in her bedroom. Hey, I said. Hey yourself. Her voice was hoarse. You saved my life. Temporarily. The cancer's still... I know. But at least now I get to choose how I go. On my terms. Not his. I sat in the chair beside her bed. Tell me about Trevor. You said there was something I needed to know. She closed her eyes. Trevor didn't want a wife. He wanted access to the network, to the other families, to the system. He's been grooming girls for years, marrying them, using them to gain trust with other families. Then she stopped. Then he shares them with other men in the network. It's part of the deal, part of how they maintain loyalty. The girls become property that gets passed around. I thought I might vomit. That's why he wanted you. Mom continued. You were young, pretty, educated enough to be interesting, but not so educated you'd question authority. And your father owed money to some powerful people in the network. Giving you to Trevor would have cleared those debts, made your father valuable, connected. How long have you known this? I've known about the network since before you were born, but I didn't know the full extent until a few years ago. One of the wives came to me, told me what really happens after the weddings, begged me to help her daughter escape. I couldn't. I was too afraid. But I started paying attention, noticing things. The girls who got married and then seemed to disappear, the women who showed up at church with bruises and dead eyes, the way the men would look at teenage girls during youth group. Why didn't you go to the police? I thought about it. Every day. But your father has friends everywhere. And I had no proof. Just suspicions and stories from scared women. Who would believe us? We're just hysterical wives making up stories about our devoted husbands. A nurse came in to check Mom's vitals. We waited in silence until she left. What about my brothers? I asked when we were alone again. Mom's face crumpled. I failed them. I let your father shape them into copies of himself. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. They believe everything he says. Think the network is God's work. Think they're saving these girls by giving them purpose and structure. They're 21 and 23 now. Old enough to know better. Are they? They've been indoctrinated since birth. Never allowed to question. Never exposed to outside ideas. They don't even realize what they're part of is wrong. To them, this is normal. This is how the world is supposed to work. I thought about Dylan and Marcus, my little brothers who used to build Lego spaceships and beg me to play video games with them. Now they were recruiters, groomers, part of the machine that almost destroyed me. I need to stop him, I said. I need to stop all of them. How? They're careful. They cover their tracks. They have lawyers and money and connections. I'll find a way. Mom grabbed my hand. Promise me something. Promise me you'll get out if it becomes too dangerous. That you won't sacrifice yourself trying to save people who might not want to be saved. You did that once already. You saved yourself. That's enough. It's not enough. Not when there are girls out there right now going through what I almost went through. Then be smart. Be careful. Your father will retaliate when he realizes you're not backing down. And Trevor? She shuddered. Trevor doesn't like loose ends. We sat together until visiting hours ended. I told the nurses about the pills, about Dad, about everything. They assured me he wouldn't be allowed near her. Security was alerted. Adult Protective Services was coming in the morning. I spent that night in a hotel near the hospital. Couldn't go back to that house. Couldn't face Dad yet. Instead, I lay awake making plans, researching. The network Mom described, it had to leave traces. Financial records, marriage certificates, property transactions, something. At 3 a.m., my phone rang. Aunt Linda. "Your father called me," she said. "Told me you tried to kill your mother, that you're having some kind of breakdown. Are you okay?" I laughed. Couldn't help it. "I'm fine. He's the one who tried to kill her. The hospital has proof." I figured. "I just wanted to hear your voice. Make sure." She paused. "You're going after him, aren't you? After all of them?" "Yes." "Good. I'll help. I've been collecting information for years. Names, dates, financial records. I've been waiting for someone brave enough to use it. Why didn't you go to the police yourself?" I tried. 3 times. Each time my reports disappeared. Or the officers were members of the church. Or I was labeled a bitter ex-wife with an axe to grind. But you're credible. You're educated. You work for a respected company. And you have your mother's testimony. That changes things. We talked for 2 more hours. She sent me encrypted files, spreadsheets, documents, photos. Years of evidence she'd been quietly gathering, waiting for the right moment. "There's something else you should know," she said. "Trevor died 2 months ago. Heart attack. But before he died, he was investigated by the FBI for something unrelated. They seized his computers, his files, everything." My breath caught. What were they investigating? Tax fraud, money laundering. They didn't know about the girls, didn't know about the network. But if someone with knowledge of the network contacted the right agent, pointed them in the right direction, they'd find everything. Exactly. I hung up and stared at my laptop screen, at the files Aunt Linda had sent. Evidence of dozens of marriages between underage girls and older men, financial transfers that looked suspiciously like purchases, property deeds signed over as dowries, a whole ecosystem of abuse hiding behind religious freedom and traditional values. The next morning, I went to the FBI field office, asked to speak to someone about human trafficking. They sent out a young agent named Rachel Kim. She looked skeptical at first, probably thought I was another conspiracy theorist, but then I started showing her the documents, the patterns, the evidence. Her skepticism shifted to horror. "How long has this been going on?" she asked. "Generations, maybe longer. And you're saying your father is involved?" "He's not just involved. He's a broker. He connects families with buyers, arranges the contracts, makes sure everyone stays quiet." Agent Kim spent 3 hours interviewing me, taking notes, making calls. By the time I left, there were 4 other agents involved. They were opening an investigation. "This is going to take time," she warned. "Months, maybe years. These kinds of networks are complex. We need to build airtight cases. Make sure we get everyone, not just the obvious players." "I understand, and you need to be careful. If your father realizes you're cooperating with law enforcement, he might—" "I know, but I have to do this. For my mom, for all the girls who didn't get away." Mom was moved to a private hospice facility 3 days later, somewhere Dad couldn't find her. I visited every day, watched her slowly fade. The cancer was winning, but at least now she was dying on her own terms, in peace, without fear. One afternoon, she asked me to read to her. I'd brought her favorite book, Pride and Prejudice. She smiled when she saw it. "I used to read this in secret," she said. "Your father said it gave women dangerous ideas about independence and choosing their own husbands. He'd have burned it if he'd known I had a copy hidden in the attic." I read until she fell asleep. Then I sat there watching her breathe, thinking about all the years she'd spent trapped. All the dreams she'd given up, all the silence she'd endured. My phone buzzed, a text from Agent Kim. "Found something big in Trevor's files. Need to meet. ASAP." I kissed Mom's forehead and left. The FBI office was buzzing when I arrived. Agent Kim led me to a conference room where several agents were reviewing documents on a large screen. "We found Trevor's client list," she said. "Every man who participated in the network, every girl who was trafficked, going back 15 years. Your father's name is all over these files. He personally arranged at least 60 marriages, collected commissions on each one." I stared at the screen, at the names I recognized. Church elders, business leaders, men I'd grown up calling uncle. "There's more," Agent Kim continued. "We found communications between Trevor and several of these men discussing," she paused, choosing her words carefully, "discussing the girls like livestock, rating them, negotiating prices based on age, appearance, virginity status. It's detailed, explicit, prosecutable. When do you arrest them? We're moving fast. Warrants are being issued now. We'll execute coordinated raids within 48 hours. Your father will be among those arrested." I should have felt triumphant, vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. What about the girls? The ones who are already married to these men? "We're working with social services to identify them and offer support. It's complicated. Many of them are legally married. Some have children. Some won't want to leave. But we'll give them options, resources, a way out if they want it." I went back to the hospice. Found Mom awake. "They found evidence," I told her. "Enough to arrest Dad. Enough to take down the whole network." She smiled. Weak, but genuine. "Good. That's good. You did this," I said, "by being brave enough to tell me everything, by refusing to stay silent at the end. No, you did this. By being brave enough to run 6 years ago, by building a life that showed me it was possible, by coming back even when you had every reason to stay away." She coughed, winced. "I'm proud of you. I should have said that before. I'm so proud." We held hands and watched the sunset through her window, orange and pink and purple light painting the walls. "Will you do something for me?" she asked. "Anything. My violin. It's still in your father's attic. When this is all over, when you're safe, will you get it? Have it restored? I'd like to think someone might play it again someday. That it won't just gather dust forever. I'll get it. I promise." Mom died 3 days later, peacefully, surrounded by hospice staff who held her hand and made sure she wasn't alone. I was there too, reading Pride and Prejudice to her until her breathing slowed and then stopped. The arrests happened the same day. FBI agents raided homes across 3 states. seized computers, financial records, documents. My father was arrested at his house. Dylan and Marcus were arrested at church. The local news covered it as a massive human trafficking operation disguised as religious community. I didn't watch the coverage, didn't read the articles. Instead, I sat in Mom's empty hospice room and grieved, not just for her, but for all of it. For the life she could have had, for the women still trapped, for my brothers who might have been different people if they'd been raised differently. Aunt Linda flew in for the funeral. We kept it small. Just us and a few of Mom's friends from before she married Dad. Women who remembered when she played violin and dreamed of Juilliard. Women who'd watched her fade away over the years. At the service, I played a recording of violin music, Tchaikovsky, Mom's favorite. Aunt Linda gave a eulogy about resilience and courage and the quiet ways women resist. Afterward, we went to Mom's grave, left flowers, stood in silence. What will you do now? Aunt Linda asked. Testify. When the trials start, make sure they all go to prison. And after that, I don't know, live my life, I guess. The one Mom wanted for herself, but never got to have. The trials took 18 months. I testified against Dad, against Trevor's estate, against men I'd known my whole life. The defense lawyers tried to paint me as vindictive, as a rebellious daughter with an agenda, but the evidence spoke louder than their spin. Dad got 25 years for human trafficking, racketeering, and conspiracy. He'd be 78 when he got out, if he lived that long. Dylan got 10 years for his role in recruiting. Marcus got 12 for direct involvement in 3 forced marriages. Most of the other men got similar sentences. Some of the wives came forward, told their stories. Others stayed silent, loyal to their husbands until the end. A few thanked me for exposing the truth. Others called me a homewrecker, a family destroyer, an agent of Satan. I learned to live with it, with being both hero and villain, depending on who was telling the story. Through it all, Aunt Linda stayed close, helped me process, reminded me why this mattered. You gave those girls something they never had, she said once. A choice. That's all we can do. Give people choices and let them decide for themselves. 2 years after Mom died, I finally went back to the house. It was empty, foreclosed. Dad couldn't pay the mortgage from prison. I had to get permission to enter. The attic was dusty and full of boxes. It took me an hour to find the violin case. When I opened it, the instrument inside was beautiful despite the dust. Maple wood, elegant curves, still strung even after all those years. I took it to a luthier in San Francisco. She examined it carefully. This is a quality instrument, she said. Handmade, probably from the 1950s. It just needs cleaning, new strings, some minor repairs. It'll play like new. How much? For work like this? About $800. I smiled. That number. That exact number. Mom's escape fund. Her gift to me. Now I was giving it back to her, in a way. Do it. 3 months later, I picked up the restored violin. The luthier had polished it until it glowed. Restrung it. Fixed the small cracks and wear. She played a few notes to demonstrate. The sound was pure, clear, beautiful. I didn't know how to play. Never learned. But I found a music school that gave instruments to underprivileged kids. Donated the violin with one condition. They had to give it to a girl. A girl who wanted to learn but couldn't afford an instrument. A girl who had dreams bigger than the box people tried to put her in. They called me 2 weeks later. They'd found the perfect student. A 14-year-old from a strict religious family who'd been secretly watching violin tutorials on YouTube. Who'd begged for lessons but been told music was frivolous. Who'd run away from home when her parents tried to arrange her marriage. Her name is Sophia, the instructor said. She's brilliant, natural talent. And when we told her about your mother, about the violin's history, she cried. She said it felt like fate. Can I meet her? She'd like that very much. Sophia was small for her age. Dark hair, serious eyes, nervous energy. She held the violin like it was made of glass, like it might disappear if she gripped too hard. Your mom played this? She asked. When she was young, before she got married and had to give up her dreams, she wanted someone else to have those dreams instead. Someone who'd actually get to pursue them. Sophia ran her fingers over the wood. I'll take care of it. I'll practice every day. I'll make her proud. You already have, just by being brave enough to choose yourself. We talked for an hour about music and families and expectations and freedom. She reminded me so much of myself at that age, full of hope and fear in equal measure, standing at the edge of something huge and terrifying and necessary. When I left, she was practicing scales. The sound of the violin followed me down the hallway, bright and clear and full of possibility. I walked out into the San Francisco sunlight, pulled out my phone, looked at the last text message Mom had managed to send me before she died. Just 3 words. Live for both. I am. I'm living the life Mom should have had. Working the job she would have loved. Making my own choices, building my own future. And when I meet young women, at work, at coffee shops, through friends, who seem trapped or scared or uncertain, I tell them what I wish someone had told me earlier. You can leave. You can run. You can build something new. It won't be easy. It'll cost you everything familiar and safe, but you're worth it. Your dreams are worth it. Your freedom is worth it. Some listen, some don't. But I keep saying it anyway, because 6 years ago, my mom slipped me an envelope with $800 and a note. She couldn't save herself, but she could save me. And now I carry that forward. That legacy of quiet rebellion, of mothers and aunts and women who find ways to resist, even when the system is designed to break them. Dad writes me letters from prison sometimes. Long, rambling pages about forgiveness and family and how I've broken God's commandments. How I've destroyed lives and torn apart a community. How I'll answer for my sins. I don't read them anymore, just mark them return to sender. My brothers wrote once too, Dylan and Marcus. A joint letter. They apologized for not being the brothers I deserved. Said they've had time to think, to realize what they were part of. They're in therapy now. Prison mandated. Starting to understand what they did to those girls. To themselves. I wrote back once. Told them I forgave them but couldn't have a relationship with them. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Some wounds need distance to heal. They didn't write again. Aunt Linda moved to San Francisco last year. Lives 10 minutes from me. We have dinner every Sunday. Share stories. Process the past. Build new traditions that have nothing to do with performance or obedience or proving our worth. She met someone. A woman named Patricia who teaches history at UC Berkeley. They're getting married next month. I'm officiating. Your mom would have loved this. Aunt Linda said when she asked me. Loved seeing us choose happiness, choose ourselves, choose love on our own terms. She would have, I agreed. Sometimes I wonder what mom's life would have looked like if she'd been born in a different family, if she'd gone to Juilliard, if she'd played in orchestras and traveled the world and made music instead of babies. Sometimes I wonder if she's somewhere watching, seeing the violin played by Sophia, seeing me thrive, seeing Aunt Linda happy, seeing all the girls who got out because we exposed the network. I don't believe in heaven the way I was raised to. Don't believe in a God who rewards silence and punishes independence, but I believe in something. In the way courage echoes, in the way one woman's choice to slip an envelope under a door can ripple outward, in the way we save each other, piece by piece, generation by generation. Last week, I got a message from one of the girls whose marriage was annulled after the raids. She's 19 now, in college, studying social work. I wanted to thank you, she wrote. I didn't want to be saved at first. I thought you'd ruined my life, but I'm taking a psychology class and we learned about trauma bonding and Stockholm syndrome and I realized I wasn't in love with him. I was surviving him. And now I get to figure out who I am without survival mode. So thank you. Thank you for being brave enough to burn it all down. I cried reading that. Happy tears. Relieved tears. Tears for every girl who gets a second chance. Every woman who discovers she's worth more than the price tag someone put on her. This morning, I got a call from Agent Kim. The FBI is investigating similar networks in other states, other communities. They want my help, my testimony, my knowledge. It's bigger than we thought, she said. These networks are everywhere. Different names, same structure. We need people who understand how they work. People who've lived inside them. I'll help, I said without hesitation, because that's what Mom's $800 bought. Not just my freedom, but the knowledge that I could use that freedom to help others. That surviving wasn't enough, that I had to make the survival mean something. So I do, every day, in small ways and big ones, in the stories I tell and the women I mentor and the systems I help dismantle. I'm living for both of us now, for the mother who gave me wings even though hers were clipped, for the girl I was at 17, standing in that bedroom with an ultimatum and a choice. I chose myself, and in choosing myself, I chose all of us. Every woman who's been told she's property, every daughter who's been sold, every mother who's been silenced. We're choosing ourselves now, together. And the sound of that choice, like Mom's violin after years of dust, is beautiful.